If you have said to yourself, I should write that, or if someone has said to you, you should write that, then I'm talking to you because you need to write. And that's why you're tuned in to yWrite.
Well, hello. I'm Michael Buster McMahon, your surprise guest host today because our usual host, Angela Grout, is not available to do her hosting duties. Now, I was a guest on this show, and I had such a great time. So I was thrilled when I found out they had the opportunity to sit in the interviewer's chair today. Let me show you surprise number 2. Our guest today, she's joining me. She's authored 3 published works. She co-authored a children's book. She also created and hosts a podcast on writing, and she's somebody you all know and love. Surprise, my guest today, Angela Grout.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here and allow me to interview you.
Yes, thanks for the huge stipend you're giving me for this.
I wasn't aware of that, but that's all right. Now, you bring guests on your show and ask them about the writing process.
Yeah.
So I just figured, you know what? Who sings for Songbird?
I know.
You know?
I know. Yeah, I'm in the hot seat today.
You're in the hot seat today.
I like being in that seat better.
Well, when we did this, we were
Yeah.
in the seat today, so
Yeah.
you can just pretend that. But
Okay.
I'm in charge today. I'm controlling this.
Okay.
So,
I like to control situations.
which is funny because today was a mess. I learned so much about women today. I mean, usually, we on the fly.
Yeah.
We're usually 18% more attractive than we are right now. I mean, we look good, but
Yeah.
we had a lot going on.
Yes,
And I found out
yes.
there's such thing as emergency makeup, and I learned about other stuff.
Yes, I have my emergency makeup on, and I had it's been an interesting day. This is why the table has flipped, because I had a guest who had to postpone the show,
Right.
and we spontaneously came up with
This idea. All right, so you and I can break into tomfoolery.
Yes,
that's
we
a
can.
danger at any time. So we're going to try to stay focused
Okay.
on things that
Okay,
we
we're
need
going
to
to be
know.
very serious right now.
And I swear to God, like the first question
Okay.
is 100% serious.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of a play called In the Middle of the Night?
Have you? I have heard of a play
It's
called
overrated.
In the Middle of the Night. Yes, In the Middle of the Night is a play that I have written. It's a musical. I'm going to say the developmental stages. It's a finished play, but I'm in the developmental stages working with someone to create the music for it, because I've written songs, so the songs are in there, and I was able to sing the melody to this composer who they're composing the music for. And I have shared the play with Michael so that he could read it, and a few other friends. And we have this ongoing joke because I will say to him, "Did you read In the Middle of the Night?" And
Yes, I even commented on it.
and I don't know. I just often say, "Did you read it?"
It's become a thing.
So yes, my show In the Middle of the Night, hopefully soon will be able to be staged, even if it's for a staged reading. But I'm looking forward to that.
So now, what was the impetus to start a show like this? Was it like, I want to find out about writing and there's not a lot out there, maybe I need to... I'm sorry, am I answering your question for you?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no.
I don't even need you. I can just...
No, I close a flower shop. I'm someone who wants to work all the time and do things, and I'm always curious and asking questions. And I've been writing for years, and there's stuff I want to know about writing. Like, number one, why do people write? Because, sitting down and writing is one thing, but sharing the story, you kind of have that why behind it. And I was afraid to share my why for a very long time. So talking to other writers as they shared their why with me started to make me feel more comfortable to share, my why. And I've learned so much. I mean, meeting with other writers of all different genres. I mean, I don't write fantasy, but I can learn from them. So talking to them, learning their process, learning what motivates them and their passion and their mission has really helped to motivate me and my passion and my mission. But more importantly, it's educated me,
But to say like, hey, you know what, this should be out there.
Yeah.
For you to say,
I was looking for a show like this.
Yeah, but I mean, for you, like, I've interviewed authors before, and I think the biggest question that nobody just skips over and take for granted is like, you did this.
Yeah.
I mean, you did this. I mean, this is an amazing thing that you've created. But how did you go from brain to like say, you know what? How did you motivate yourself to say, I want to do this?
Well, there's a little bit of a help and a nudge from our producer here, Les Tinsley. We started talking, and of course, it started to evolve first, like, okay, why don't you do a floral show? I mean, I can make flower arrangements. It would be wonderful. I can talk through them. I've done many floral presentations over the 34 years I was a florist, coming in, making arrangements, and telling my stories, verbally, and, kind of plugging my books while I'm, showcasing my flower designs. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. I could have a flower show. But then, I closed my shop, and to do a flower show is a lot of physical labor. And, I was at the point in my life where, I had 6 surgeries over 2 years. So to be able to lug flowers and process them, and, if the show could have been filmed in my store, would have been perfect. Set's right there. It's already built.
Yep.
Perfect. But now I'm talking about recreating a set somewhere else. And, I just said, I don't think I want to do that. And I thought about like how I talk about my stories. And I'm like, what, why don't I, have a show where I can talk to other people about their stories? And there's a lot of shows out there who interview authors about their books, like the story of the book, trying to sell the book. I want to talk to the authors and find out like the method of their writing, how they write, why they write, simple questions like, do you handwrite or do you type? Just to find out their process. And then, talking about the marketing aspects and, the inspiration behind the stories, because all of that is what makes a writer, no matter what they're writing.
Well, I hate to steal a question from somebody, but so why do you write, Angela?
I over the years, of course, had to ask myself this question. And, it's a calling. I mean, it is a calling that I've answered, and it makes me feel good when I do it. And being a florist, I mean, of course, it's very creative, but it was like my job. And writing was my passion. Writing was my creative, like, hobby, where a lot of people do floral design as a hobby. And, I kind of flipped it. Now, of course, I'm taking this a little more seriously. And, when I sit down and I start writing, I do have to evaluate, like, is this something I'm writing for me? I mean, if it's my to-do list, I don't think I really need to publish, like, I'm going to do laundry today, go to the grocery store, blah, blah, blah.
Go have another surgery.
Yeah, go have another surgery. Oh, please, Lord, let me be on the road to recovery.
Did that go a little too dark?
No. I have a lot of stitches. And, there's this Chinese, proverb that talks about, like, wherever you have scars, that's where the light can flow. So I think I have a lot of light in me that's trying to get out.
I know people who tune into this show regularly are fans of you. I mean, I'm sure you bring them back and everything, but I just, I don't know if people realize how tough and resilient you are.
I'm starting to learn how tough and resilient I am based on people like you who will, kind of make comments, because I'm like, I'm just living my life. I'm in part of a writers group at the Springfield Museum Creative Writers. I've been part of their writing group for, I'm going to say maybe 7-8 years. And we had an assignment the other day, or a writing prompt, a little exercise. And it was to write like a throwaway memory. And I was like, none of my memories are throwaway. Like, I want to cherish all of them. And then I'm thinking, like, some of the throwaway memories are like, well, I'm not going to write about, like, how I walked to the mailbox today and got my mail. I mean, nobody wants to read.
That's a show.
Yeah, it is. It could be a show. But it's like, writing that stuff. But then even writing, like, I'm just trying to live my life. But then, when you have a week, like, some weeks are where, last week my dog had to have a couple surgeries. I lost a very good friend.
That's what I said. Like,
my furnace died.
Like,
I mean,
I said on my show
that
it was
just a lot,
yeah.
and I tried to bring humor to it. Like, I'm just like,
yeah, that's amazing.
Adding a bunch of like, oh, and by the way, this happened too, and this happened too, and it's like, it's just life. And as much as I want to like kind of throw away those memories, like, I don't need to remember how hard that week was. So
I said, Job didn't envy you.
Yeah. I don't know. Job and I have had many readings together. I will.
Angela, Job could be an interesting new pen name for you.
Yeah. Well, I always consider my life like the life of Samuel, if we're going biblical here, and it would be, in the middle of the night. If it's a play you really should see or read.
I've never read it.
You haven't read it? I'll send you a copy. So, but in, the story of Samuel is in the middle of the night, he would hear someone calling his name, and, he'd go to his father. His father's like, it's not me. after 3 times, the father realized, that's God calling your name. And he would get up and have this conversation with God. And that's one of the whys that I write, because, in the middle of the night, I will get that like nudge feeling, whether I'm waking up from a dream or if I just like all of a sudden wake up and say, I have to write this down now. And, I take the time, set my timer, write it down. And then sometimes I do something with it, I'll elaborate more, turn it into, a story or a book. Or a play or a movie. I don't know. I'm kind of writing all over here. But, it's like,
focus.
Okay, I have to, wake up to answer this call.
Now, you're talking about answering the call and everything, and you have a unique way of being inspired. And I don't know if you're 100% comfortable sharing that. I'm sorry for delving into this, but do you want to talk about that?
Possibly. How do I talk about this?
Where these inspirations come from to write the stories that you do, the April Rain in the middle of the night?
So, inspiration comes in a lot of forms. For me, a lot of times I will get it in a dream. It will come from something happening in reality. And, I will just start penning. And, sometimes it goes into poetic prose. Sometimes it goes into a story. A lot of times I will start to write from like a first person point of view, but then I realize it's not me talking. And I don't like the word like channel. I'm not channeling anything. I am a channel. I mean, I do get that, we are all a channel, of our gifts, however we use them. Like when I would do, when I was working at the flower shop, I knew my hands were, a vessel. And for me to take the flowers and create a flower arrangement for someone, I'm spiritual. I pray a lot. So I would pray over these flowers. And, a lot of times, the prayer that I would say is, okay, if Michael wants to send flowers to his wife, use my hands to create the message he wants her to receive. So, it's that like kind of channeling
Because
energy.
I'm guessing a lot of husbands who came to the flower shop say, I want flowers for my wife. Oh, well, what'd you have in mind? Red?
Yeah, no, exactly. And the great part about like kind of being intuitive is, all of a sudden I'll make this red arrangement and then, maybe I put some red anemones in, or I put red ranunculus in, or red roses in. And more often than not, the wife would call the shop and be like, oh my gosh, those flowers are my favorite. I love ranunculus. I didn't know that. But, divine guidance guided me to use those flowers. And, a lot of the inspiration even from my books have been that way. I have a story in An Angel's Journey, which is a story of a girl who had passed away and wanted to reassure her mother she's okay from the afterlife. The real inspiration of the story started with this woman who was looking for a purple Christmas tree. Who looked for a purple Christmas tree? And I happened to overhear her conversation saying, I'm looking for a purple Christmas tree. And I happened to have ordered purple Christmas trees for my shop that day, and they had just arrived that day. They weren't even out of the box yet. So I said to her, I have purple trees. And she's like, why do you have purple trees? I said, well, I own a flower shop. And, we started talking, and it unfolded to the point that we ended up meeting each other in a sort of serendipitous way. I'm not going to give away the whole story of the book, but, she said, what flower shop? I said, oh, Agawam Flower Shop. And she said, oh, my daughter was going to apply to work there.
Wow.
And I said, oh, is your daughter's name Andrea? Because in the past year, I had known of a girl named Andrea who was going to come into the shop, apply for a job, and I was looking for someone. So I was kind of anticipating her coming. And, a couple of months probably like 7 months went by, and she never came in. But when she said that, I said, oh, is your daughter Andrea? And she's like, yeah. I go, oh, is she still looking for a job? What is she doing? And she shared with me that she had just passed away. And, taking that and a dream I had a few nights earlier, all of a sudden had me sitting down at a computer for 9 hours straight, without a bathroom break, because writers can get into that mood. And I wrote the book.
I write. I take bathroom breaks.
Yeah, well, sometimes I'll reward myself now with them, but that day I did not. I did not at all.
Wow.
So it was like, okay, I have to share this story. And so, I wrote An Angel's Journey. It's brought a lot of people who are grieving a loved one peace, especially if they haven't thought of, is there more? Is there more after this life? Are my loved ones okay? And for me, I can assure you they are.
Am I going to knock these things over here?
No, you can pull it out if you want.
So how do people get this? Because it sounds like this is a very inspirational thing. Is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. All three of them are on Amazon. Okay. Yes.
You've got 27 different pen names here. We got.
Yeah. So that's interesting that you said that, because I had toyed with, like, do I take on a pen name? What do I do? In high school I was Angela M. Schumann. And
we all knew your middle initial.
So Michael and I went to high school together.
We went to high school together, and she was our class president, and she'd come on the speakers. This is Angela M. Schumann.
Yes. Well, I had a coach who had told me, the senior class president at the time, William C. Brady, he wanted to make sure someone carried on the legacy of using the middle initial. So he said, would you do it? And I said, sure. So I would say, okay, I'm Angela M. Schumann. And he'd say, no, you have to enunciate it. So we had a little practice session, and yes, every time I would get on the intercom every morning, it was Angela M. Schumann.
And being on the other side of it, let me tell you some of the reaction. I mean, no one was making fun of you, but they would do it along, like, it's Angela M. Schumann. They would sit in the classroom hearing that.
Yeah.
So we've got Angela. This one that's under Angela M. Grout. This one's Angela Grout. That one's A.M. Grout.
Yes. So specifically, there are a few reasons. I mean, Angela M. Grout is, who I am, who I became, because I'm always Angela M. No matter what my last name is. I married a Grout, but I'm still Schumann. And Angela Grout is more of a personal memoir, this one, for sure, because, it's taken from my...
That's my fault. They're fault.
My memories of, childbirth, and, it's a very funny story. I've presented this with not only like Lamaze type, class, childbirth people in their last trimester, like, great book for them to read. But I've also talked a lot about this with writing groups that I do. Because and you're a writer, you know this. When you have a story in you, there's this pregnancy period.
Yes.
And it is filled with anxiety.
Oh my God. Because I'm always, as a guy, I'm so, like, conscious of trying to say it's a mental birth, and I don't want to insult people who actually went through birth.
No, but it is. And if you have the story, and another reason for my show yWrite is because there's people out there who have stories that want to be told. They're pregnant. They don't know what to do with it. And they're the only ones who can get their baby out. I mean, if you have that story inside you, even if you tell me the story, and people are always afraid, will someone steal my work?
No one can tell it like you.
No one, can tell it like you. No one's going to take it because they're not as passionate about it as you are. So it's like, if you're going to share your story, you have to get that baby out. And, the anxiety that leading up to, and the preparation leading up to, and the work that leads up to getting a book out is similar to the incubation period of, having a child.
Although the plot to the last King Kong versus Godzilla, that was totally mine. They stole that from me, I'm telling you.
I know. And if you didn't, copyright it now, whatever, it's your gift to the world, no one knows.
So now you're talking about, you had to tell a story. You're sitting there for 9 hours. You didn't pee, you didn't eat. I'm hoping you blinked.
I don't even know if I did that.
So how do you, I'm sure, because there's lots of people who, we say they have a story to tell. The journey of 1,000 miles start with a single step. So you're saying, how do you keep motivated to go? Well, all right, let's start. How do you start? How do you sit down and say, step one? Like, this is a daunting idea to actually sit down and say, I'm going to write this. I mean, it's a daunting thing. And I don't know if other people have discussed this. How do you start? And then we'll do the second question.
You just wake up in the middle of the night and you start.
That reminds me of a play.
Yeah. So all right. I'll talk a little bit about April Rain. And I will share why I did the pen name on that, A.M. Grout, because apparently research shows that men don't read murder mysteries written by women. At least not, the sales.
On behalf of my Neanderthal brethren, I apologize.
So doing A.M. Grout, you don't know if it's me or my father-in-law who wrote it.
Although now I'm going to suspect that any initial is actually a woman.
Yes, seriously, you really should. I mean, look at J.R. Rowling's, and a lot of them do that.
Wait,
so,
that's a woman?
Yeah. So writing April Rain, and I have another book that's in the process right now. It was a discovery. I had to discover how I was going to write it. Because I can just start writing random pieces and have all these like random little short stories or notes or research that I've done, and trying to figure out the order it goes in. I've tried the index card, taking your charts on your wall and putting index cards for every single story, every single chapter. I've done it with every single idea and thought that I've wanted to have, which actually has become a really great way for me now, because I'll do like an outline in a random order at first of just like, these are all the things I want to include in the book. I want to include the day I went on the car ride, the day that this happened, the day, all these different things, because of course I'm going to take some of my own personal experiences to incorporate into a book, whether fiction or not, because you can only write what you know. And so with April Rain, the inspiration of it came from a murder that happened in my town, and it was an unsolved murder for many years. So writing about it was very, very anxiety driven, because I wanted to know what happened, and everybody wanted to know what happened, but at the same time there was murder on the loose. So if I wrote something that maybe really did happen, geez, people are going to think I did it.
Yeah. Especially if you end up accidentally being on the nose.
Yeah. And I would share with the police department every little what if scenario I had, and they appreciate my curiosity and my
Really? You talked to them?
Oh, yes. The head detective on the case, actually, when he retired.
Because I think a lot of times they'd be like, oh, for God's sake. But they took this seriously.
Yeah. I would, say, so what if this happened? What do you think about this? What do you about? And I will say that.
So you're like the Angela Lansbury coming into this.
Yes. And out of probably the hundreds of, what if scenarios, there was only 3 times they, the gentleman, the head detective on the case, ever broke like his honest, he always had that poker face. He was like, Angela, you should have been a police officer. You should have been an investigator. And I'm like, yeah, I couldn't do that. I don't have that poker face. I wear my heart in a sleeve. And, I would share something with him, and he'd be like, that's interesting. And then walk away. And I'm like, oh, what? So.
Oh my God. I want to end conversations that way now. That's interesting.
And walk away. So, I did start getting paranoid. Like, well, what if I share something with you only the murderer knows? You're going to think I did it. And,
well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, is this why he was taking an interest in you?
Well, so it was very sweet. He reached across the counter, put his hand on mine, and said, Angela, we know it's a man. And I was like, thank God. I go, I don't have a penis. I can prove it. I'm like, all right. Now I felt freer to share, because it was like, okay, they know who the suspect is. But again, they're still out on the loose. God forbid the real murderer thinks I know something. I don't want him shutting me down. So, yeah, it was.
Then I'd have to write that story.
Yeah, and it would be a comedy.
Yeah. I've written dramas. I tell you all the time. I have written dramas.
I know. So writing that, really coming up with the outline of what I want to include, especially what I want to include in my what if scenarios. I took a class with James Patterson, the famous author, and he really, that master class really helped me to work with April Rain, because, I had prompted a question, just said, do you always know the end of your story before you begin it?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Do you know how it's going to end?
No.
And he was like, he gave us this assignment and said, think of a story you know the ending to, and then come up with a few ideas of how it could have started. So, okay, dead girl in the woods. That's the end of the story. That's the end I have. Oh, that's all I know is there's a dead girl in the woods. How did she get there? So I started to do my 3, little things of this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. And, came up with 10 instead of 3. I'm a little overachiever sometimes. So, going into that.
Let me guess, they're typed up and they're numbered and lettered. And
yeah, they are.
Some of them are italicized.
Probably. He knows I like to make sure I take my notes and stuff. So, long story short, we went to class the next day, and he's like, all right, take the most outrageous one and start writing for like 10 minutes on it and see if, you want to continue writing it. So, I took my most outrageous. It was, she was abducted by aliens. I just couldn't even, a pen couldn't even move. I'm like, I'm not writing E.T., it's been done. And, then kind of going down the list, and then I, got to one where I was like, yeah, that could work. And for me, writing this gave me peace. I want to say all my books bring some sort of peace, some sort of
certainly.
wisdom.
Whether of dealing with a death or going through childbirth, especially for the
they're
first
all
time.
still,
I mean, that's what you do.
Yeah. And, the real...
Your capacity for caring comes through with your work. It does.
You think so?
I do.
Oh, thanks. I would think it's my curiosity that comes through. I don't know. And I hope...
Everyone's going to interpret the story differently, Angela.
And what I do hope that people see as a writer is that I'm, I am caring and compassionate, but I definitely, want to share like the faith that I have. Like the faith that I do believe that there's something more to our earthly existence. That, after we get our baby out, it will be okay. It can survive on our own, And, again, like, with this murder mystery, writing a story that in a way brings peace to how she died, because the real story I wouldn't want to write, but I was able to find a way to kind of say, okay, I can accept that happened.
I want to get to that second section. Well, I'm afraid you're going to give me another 10-minute answer, and we're trying to keeping your eye on the goal to finish. I mean, that is something too that people start, but then they. I mean, I've got we've talked about I've got 49 plays, but I've also got like 17 that are never going to get finished. How do you keep your eye on the goal?
Well, I've always given myself deadlines. And I think being a florist has helped me immensely, because people will call and want instant gratification with the flowers. Like, oh, my uncle died. The funeral's at 1. It's 11 o'clock. Like, I got a deadline. Like, there's no putting this
and
off.
Also, thank you for not thinking that sooner.
Yeah. No, but I mean, things like that happen. Or it's my anniversary. I totally forgot. I'll be in the shop in an hour. Can you get this bouquet together? I mean, I had instant deadlines that, I always made. I mean, there was one time that I made it a day early, which actually got me into trouble, which is kind of weird. Like, sorry, I had the wrong day. At least it wasn't a day late, but whatever. So I think being a florist has helped me to work with deadlines. Of course, when I'm doing stuff that's my own deadlines, it's for me, you do tend to kind of move that date a little and go, okay, I want it done by, I wanted this done by, April of 2017. And, it just didn't work out. I wanted it to be made into a movie by April 2020. And of course,
you're a little behind schedule.
I'm a little behind schedule with that, but I would set, I actually did this thing where I knew how many chapters I had left to write. And I said, okay, well, each chapter, if it's going to have, 3,000 words, say, I would then divide it into how many words I can write a minute. And then each day I would write on my calendar how many words I had to write to get to it.
And did you start from chapter 1?
No.
Okay.
This was, no.
Because I think the beginning and the end is the toughest.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and that's why I tell people, like, listen, start in the middle.
Yeah.
Start in the middle.
I started probably with the end and the beginning. You're right. And then everything else was kind of like.
So you had the end and the beginning already?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, then,
Yeah.
So that's the fun part, the middle. The getting from.
Yes. And then working with, a editor who was really, good, not just with like the editing of using, making sure things are written in the past tense, future tense, however it needs to be, and, spell correct, whatever, but really getting the flow of the story. So you gotta get
like this editor to PDF your stuff and, do.
Yeah, I'm better at doing it for other people than I am for myself.
She's my editor.
Yeah. But I do enjoy doing some editing. I definitely enjoy doing like formatting, whether it's, for a book or for a play or for a movie, things like that. And, it's helped me to format my own stuff.
So, now what's next? I mean, you hinted that there was another story coming.
Yes. Oh, so no, I have a lot. I can say right now. I have a story that I'm just about.
We may go overtime today, folks.
Yeah, I might go a little overtime. If it goes overtime, I don't know. We'll schedule it. It's my show.
Yeah.
I can do what I want.
That's a lesson learned from my show. You paid attention.
Yes, I did pay attention. So I'm in the process of, I have a script written for April Rain for a movie. I have done it for the stage, but it's definitely a movie because there's plenty of characters to employ a lot of people. And there's a lot of locations.
So the union will like you.
The union will like me. And like the locations, like I have each script, each scene broken down by, location, day and night, what characters are in it, what props are needed. So, it's showing, like, I have a scene at Buckley's Bar which of course can be changed to a different one for a movie because I have a different name. But Buckley's Bar has like 17. I think there's 17 seats.
Iron Fox Steakhouse at the Summers Inn.
Yeah, I heard there's new management going in, new
Yeah.
owners.
Yep,
Yeah,
down in Summers, Connecticut. That's
yeah, and we're gonna change the subject very quickly again because this will be a restaurant you and your family will be owning, and there's a slight rumor that they might be doing some theater maybe once a month with a company called BAM Productions.
BAM Production.
Very
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, do you know anything about BAM?
I do. I'm the M. I really wanted this to be called MAB.
MAB.
But, it's Michael, Angela, and what's her name? Battelle. We love Battelle.
Yes.
She was a guest on my show the other day.
Yeah, so Battelle and me and Michael have formed this production company called BAM Productions.
BAM.
And we're doing, we've been doing some short script staged readings of our plays. In that order, Battelle gets her first, the first play.
Pressure on me to...
And he's the closing act. I'm in the middle. So yeah, it's been really fun. In April, we did something at the Agawam Senior Center.
Yep.
We were able to showcase Battelle's play, Holy. We did my show called COVID Times, and we did your show, Oh No, Angelo. And it was very well received by the audience, and we have taken that a little bit further and been able to do things at some other local places.
Yep.
And in March of next year, we're staging one of your shows at the Exit 7 Theater, so I'm kind of representing him as his agent a little bit, or AD.
I call you. You have a different title every time. This is my agent. This is my publicist. This is my editor. This is my assistant director. This is my.
Love it.
Although at Exit 7, do you remember how I introduced you as?
No.
My right hand.
Oh yes.
Yeah. That's a.
Well,
That's a good compliment.
Hey.
You're also the vowel in BAM.
I am the vowel. Everyone needs a vowel. You need Angel A here.
Would you be my vowel?
You need to buy a vowel. I'll take Angela.
So I don't know if we covered everything. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Finish your answer.
So I do have another book in the process. It's the work in process title, which I think I'm going to keep, is called Being in My Breast, and it's a story of one woman's journey of having breast cancer.
Now, did somebody speak to you through this, or?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a good friend pass away from breast cancer. I've actually had like 4. And learning from their journeys and finding out what they went through, not just while they were living, but after they died, is a way that I sort of start to write. And it's a good story. It's a really good story. So I was hoping to have it out this year, but who knows? It's maybe still could happen. But I'm going to say within a year. How's that?
Well, it doesn't help that I keep dumping things on you. Say, hey, can you edit this?
Yeah, and I'm still working on my other short plays that we're doing through BAM, and working on getting my script for April Rain, into investors' hands so I can get the money to fund to create the film. I have been working with Dracius Sanction, and I don't know, there's a couple other companies I've been working with to try to move this forward, or it is moving forward. And again, with my show In the Middle of the Night.
I've heard good things.
Yeah. So, I was hoping to get that staged over at the Majestic Theater, so I have talked to Danny about it, and we'll see what happens with
Danny
that.
Eaton.
Danny Eaton. Otherwise, who knows? Maybe it just gets staged through BAM Production.
You tend to name drop, but sometimes you don't always.
Sorry. Yeah. And Danny's been on the show too. I think he's episode 6 or something. If you want to watch that.
Yeah.
But I do want to definitely mention that I host a conference.
Oh yeah.
And you came to the conference
last
year.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And it's yWrite hosting the conference, even though yWrite's me. But it's great, and it'll be coming up in November. It's the first Saturday in November, and it will be at the Studio 954's location at the Agawam Senior Center here in Agawam. And it's great. I have keynote speakers. I have a lot of classes that writers can take at whatever stage.
And people can find information on this where?
Definitely on Facebook. I have, on the yWrite Facebook page, the yWrite Writers Conference Facebook page. You can always subscribe to this YouTube channel to watch yWrite and get
especially
information
episode
there.
44.
Who's on episode 44?
Some schmo.
I think it was a guy who won this Emmy Award.
Yeah,
for writing a play.
Well, it's not. It's a local Emmy Award.
Well, it's
a
okay.
local Tony.
You got a trophy. I don't have a trophy. I just got flowers. I got my flowers.
I was. Here you go.
What are you doing? Oh, this is my award. I'm getting I'm getting a Disney Goofy tie. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I want that back to my.
Okay, no, I'm keeping it now. All right.
Did we cover everything? I mean,
Yeah. What? Do you have any other questions about?
oh, I have like 17, but I know we gotta go.
This happens to me when I interview people. I have so many more questions to ask them, but you know, you have to think like, is the audience still interested in this person that you're interviewing? Which I mean,
Which hopefully they are, because it's you.
of course, you're all interested in me, right? Thank you.
Well, that's why I
appreciate
thought this
that.
was a great idea to do this so you could share your story. So
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, yeah. So I'm just saying I understand where you have all these other questions, because I have so many other questions that I want to ask my guests, and in a half an hour, 45-minute time slot, you know, you got to reel it in at some point because we're not making a movie. It's you know.
I have an important question, but I can probably ask you off air. You know, but like, what's
Now you got the audience hanging on. Like, what is she gonna ask her off air?
what's for lunch?
Oh, I don't know. What are they serving today?
So I guess I sign off now then, right? Do I give them a writing? I know you like to give a writing prompt.
I love to give a writing prompt. Yeah.
Should I do that, or did you want to?
I don't know. Maybe their writing prompt is why are they watching the show, or why are they not buying more copies of my books?
Okay, so
No.
we can
Or
find
why
it-
are they
we
talking
can
about my
find
books?
all
No.
3 books at Amazon.com.
Yeah, Amazon.com. Yep, my website, angelagrout.com. And of course, I'm on Facebook. Each of my books has their own Facebook page. My show has a Facebook page. I manage a lot of different pages just to try to keep the information, you know, for just that topic. But yeah, and then, you know, definitely follow our production company too, BAM Productions,
Yep.
because, you know, we're going to do some really good things with that here.
Well, Angela, thank you for stopping by the show. Hopefully, maybe we can have you on again sometime soon.
Yeah, that would be
and
great.
I'd like to announce my guest for the next. Oh, wait, this was just a one and done for me, right?
Yes, but you know, you can talk about your show on Monday mornings with the Monday Morning Commute.
Yeah. We had to edit that out when I was on. What'd you call it? You called it like the Monday Morning
Michael's
Spectacular.
Monday Morning Musical Spectacular.
That wasn't even close.
It's called That'll Learn
That'll
Ya.
learn you, because it's about facts about the songs.
It is facts about the songs. You are a musical genius. I mean, you actually have okay, genius maybe the wrong, but you have like a
No,
trivia,
I like the sound of it.
You have trivia in your head about every music, theater, movies. Like you just you know, I can hum a song to him and he's just like, yep, that's it, and then he names all the lead singers.
Well, as long
He
as
can
you don't
tell
go, as long as you don't go too new. I mean, I like 70s, 80s. I mean, that's my wheelhouse. You know, I can.
Well, maybe. Do you know the song "In the Middle of the Night"?
Is that a? I thought that was.
In the middle of the night,
Oh, yeah.
it sounds so right.
Oh yeah, that's from that.
That's from that
That's
musical.
from that
in the middle of the
musical
night.
in the middle of the night. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
See, I can hum that. And who wrote that song?
You.
All right.
So yes, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for letting me do this. We're probably way over.
It's definitely kind of silly,
We are
but
way
thank
over
you for
time.
watching.
I am Michael Buster McMahon. I interviewed author and songwriter and podcast host
Just be writer. I don't know.
Angela Grout,
Florist.
florist, and very dear friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Join us next time with I Won't Be Here. We'll return this back to your regular scheduled host, Angela Grout. And I guess I just sign off.
Yeah.
Drink your milk, look both ways before crossing the street, and never, ever give up your dreams.